All right, welcome to another Friday night episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and to my left or right is my carnivore co-host, Brian Damis Forsythe of the band Kix and Rhino Bucket. And you just got us two tonight, but that's okay because I think we've probably got plenty to share. And this all starts with a post that Brian posted this week on his personal Facebook page. I'll let Brian explain to you where it came from and the farce that it is. But Brian, you want to kind of share what you posted this week in regards to the White House nutritional upcoming retreat or seminar?
Yeah. Well, I stole the post from Nina Teicholz off of Twitter, but I've seen that chart before. And the sad part about it is the guy that put that thing together is the one that's in charge of this conference. You know, it's a nutritional conference at the White House, you know, to sort of talk to all the people that put the guidelines together. You know, this ends up dictating, you know, the food that goes to schools and hospitals. And we all know that food is like the worst. And people always wonder, well, why can't they just do this? But the thing is, schools and hospitals are government funded, so they have to go by these guidelines or they don't get their funding. So everybody's hands are tied. It's the same with everything. I mean, politics, with the medical stuff, everything is just on the same payoff system, which is so corrupt and does nobody any good except for the people that are making the money. Yeah, there you go. It's crazy. This guy that put this together, and even in my comment, I said, it looks like some 5-year-old just was guessing. Like somebody said, what do you think is the healthiest food? Oh, Lucky Charms. You know, it's just.
Well, let's literally go by this, because when I first saw it, I truly thought it was a prank or some type of joke done by somebody. So when I researched that it really wasn't, that this is really what they are promoting as nutrition to be followed as recommendations, and this is to be taken seriously, I literally jaw on the floor, Brian.
Well, here's the thing too, you know, just like your nutrition label on the back of a, you know, food package, that is set up so that the manufacturer can manipulate the numbers. They can say, well, this falls into this category, so it doesn't count in that category, and they, you know, make it look like something that it really isn't. And that's what this is. It's like you know, they take the reason why all those cereals are at the top is because they're fortified with vitamins. So that's the way they look at it. Like, because they put these extra vitamins in, it makes it more healthy. But the problem is, you know, when you have to fortify a food, that means it's not food. And it also, right. And also the vitamins you fortify it with are not bioavailable. So you're not absorbing them anyway. You know, it's just a farce. So, you know, to make it look like healthy food, you know, so that's how they get around this. And that's how they make it seem like, but I don't know how they can put like an egg. Well, there's the other thing. There's still the war on saturated fat. And even though it's been proven and research proves that it is healthy for you, they're still going by that whole myth. And they know that most Americans are uneducated in that area. So they target that, you know, that's how they get by on people, is to say, oh, it's low in fat, you know, so they think, oh, it must be healthy. So that's why, you know, ground beef and cheese and eggs are at the very bottom. It's just crazy.
Well, look right here. This is still just mind blowing to me. Canned pineapple and heavy syrup right there with Lucky Charms and whole wheat bread.
Right.
and then let's go even worse. egg substitute fried and vegetable oil, Honey Nut
Oh,
Cheerios, orange juice with calcium, chocolate covered almonds. Well, I'm going to give them a pass on that one. But non-fat frozen yogurt and unsweetened almond milk. But here we go again. Frosted mini wheats. I mean, they're not naming a food group. They're literally naming the cereal. Frosted mini wheats, Lucky Charms, Honey Nut Cheerios. They're telling you the brand to go buy, which
it shows you. Yeah, it shows you who's paying for this.
Right. They didn't tell you what eggs, what brand eggs to go buy, or what, who put together the ground beef or the butter to go buy. They didn't tell you to go buy your local farmer's butter or raw butter. No, but they tell you exactly what to go buy when it came to cereal. And so, I was thinking about this this week, Brian, after you posted this, because it really stirred something into me because, well, I'll just share what's on my heart. That's the only thing I know how to do. First of all, we have to take back our power and not fall for what others, especially government that's being paid for by big pharma and the food manufacturers. You have to stop listening to these clowns. I don't know the way to put it, to these clowns who are trying to entice you to get into this gerbil wheel to eat this crap so that you will go to your doctor, so you can't be put on a statin, so you can't be put on insulin. So what do we do about it? Well, here's what we can do. If you have children that go to public school, you do not purchase the crap they're serving as a school luncheon. No. You make your own food and you send your own ribeye steak and butter and hard-boiled or soft-boiled eggs or cheese with your child to school, and stop buying the crap that they're peddling as healthy food for us. The other thing I want people to think about, if you think we're just going off to be going off, no. Your brain, especially children, your brain feeds off of fat to help it grow and to function. And when you're starving it of non-fat this, non-fat this, non-fat this, you literally are doing, in my opinion, I am not a doctor. I've done no personal research studies, but what I have studied is the fact that the brain functions on fat, grows in fat, and is able to be optimal in thinking and retaining by using that fat to do what we were meant to do. When we starve it, so literally you're starving your brain with fat, and then you're feeding the mind who just wants sugar. You're feeding the addict and starving what really is there for you to go to learn about whatever studies that are teaching you in the school. So we have to take back the power from our local officials, from the people who are peddling this crap. And I know on Brian's post, I literally had posted a website for people to go to, which is usa.gov. So you can find out who your local representatives are. We do have an election coming up, as much as I can't stand politics anymore, but call them up. I mean, I literally can't stand it anymore. I'd be fine if we just go back to government, be on strike or shut down, so we didn't have to deal with them. But it is what it is. But call your local representatives and say, listen, if you're supporting this nutritional crap that's going to be pushed onto my child's school cafeteria and put it on the menu because this corrupt system is pushing Honey Nut Cheerios, Lucky Charms, canned pineapple, and heavy syrup, you're not getting my vote. And then contact your local educational superintendent or whatever the elected officials are in your state or local jurisdiction for your county, and hold them accountable, because we have to take a stand. And in doing my research, I did not know this. the last time the White House had a conference on nutrition was back in 1969 under Richard Nixon. And that developed all the other crap, the vegetable oil, the labeling that was being pushed at that time, but getting away from the fats. That's where that all started from. So you can just think about those 40 or 50 or 60, I don't know how many years that is, 40, 50, but 1969, you got a Republican president who does it. And now in 2022, you have a Democratic president who's doing it. So what does that tell you? It doesn't matter what the party is. These people are controlled by a bigger entity than their party. And so we have to hold them accountable to the entity in which they are promoting. And right now, they are promoting food that is going to cause you to get sick, to compromise your immune system, cause you to be forever being managed by the healthcare system. And so we have to, as Barney Fife would say on Andy Griffith, nip it in the bud.
There's gonna be trouble. We got to nip it. Nip it in the bud.
By not promoting that, by first of all, not participating in it. Look, your health is in the hands of you. You control your health by what you're going to be putting in your body. And so, first of all, anything that you've been taught by the medical profession, by commercials, by the United States standard American diet, you need to just flush out of your head and start from scratch and educate yourself from people who are actually doing it. And when I say doing it, people who you would want to follow, who look like they're in shape, they're healthy, and they're telling you what they're doing. They're not telling you to go do this. They're just telling you what they've done. Follow those people. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox. I'll let Brian chime in, but it really is, when I saw this, it just really caused me to just shake my head and go, man, I cannot believe how blatant they are.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem though. It's, the problem, the system is so broken. Really the most that we can do is change ourselves, change what we do and just start from the bottom up, because there's no way we're going to change that anytime soon. It's so messed up.
Yeah. And so I got another article that I want to bring up that actually the Nina Teicholz.
Yeah.
Is that how you say her name? Let me bring that up. We'll go through and digest that as well.
Yeah.
I
may have read this one.
So yeah, this was published.
I know she's been talking about this in the fact that, even though the science has proved that low carb diets help in so many ways, they included in their little study papers, but I don't know if it says it in this article, but they end up burying it like 600 pages in or something. And it's like a little paragraph. So hoping nobody notices.
Well, here's the great news. At least more and more evidence is getting to the surface. Like it says here, over the past decade, thousands of scientists, doctors, and others have urged officials overseeing our nation's nutrition policy to pay attention to studies on low carbohydrate diets. Yet, even as the science has advanced rapidly, the federal agencies in charge of the guidelines seem ever more intent on ignoring and, yes, burying the science.
Well, you know why? Because they're being paid off and they don't want to lose their money. So they go along with it,
Yeah. So here's what you got to do. I mean, hold your local official accountable. Hold your congressman, your senator, your county representative, whoever. Hold them accountable, because listen, science and truth is on your side. And you can go to pubmed.gov, which is the government database of scientific studies. Look, they turned up 7,821 publications, including 858 clinical trials, the most rigorous kind of evidence you can have, compared to 401 trials on the vegetarian diet, which has been formally recommended by the US guidelines since 2015. Now, as much as we've been bashing the American Diabetes Association with their pictures of what they're promoting, at least they even said they judged the low carb to have the most evidence for improving glycemia, blood sugar control, the key issue for people with diabetes. And the diet produces more weight loss than a higher carb option, according to the American Heart Association. So even those corrupt associations are at least truthful enough to admit that, yeah, it works.
Yeah. Well, I've heard, and I've heard mentioned that it's great that they finally admitted that, but they still really haven't come out and announced it to the public. So most people aren't aware of that.
Right. They haven't endorsed it or promoted it.
Yeah. It's just sort of, they know about it and they won't deny it, but they don't really say, because all these agencies that are being paid by the food companies and pharmaceutical companies, they what was I going to say? Now I just lost my train of thought. But they they can't come out and say it because they'll get in trouble for it, and they can't admit that they've been wrong all those years because well, for one thing, they're being paid just to not be wrong.
Yeah, their ego and their bank account won't let them tell the truth of what really is in your benefit and what's not. Again, you just said this earlier in the podcast. The 2015 guidelines, the USDA conducted a formal review of this literature and found 40 studies, but unlike its other reviews, kept this one hidden and not even revealed the fact that it had been conducted. The review existence from only discovered in emails obtained via the Freedom of Information Act. So they're burying it. So
and hiding it.
Yes. So you cannot see these studies. They're burying these studies when for the upcoming 2025 guidelines, USDA has proposed ignoring, this is sad here, for the upcoming 2025 guidelines, USDA has proposed ignoring low carbohydrate diets altogether. Now you have to ask yourself, in the face of all this evidence, why in the world would they purposely say they're going to ignore this type of lifestyle altogether? Well, I think it's very simple. Yeah, absolutely. So look, you want to know where budget cuts? You want to know where budget cuts need to happen? You don't fund USDA anymore. Done. Cut them off. Done. No more funding. Go let them play in their sandbox with their carbohydrates and their high fructose and their sugar and their vegetable oils, and let us begin to dictate what we're going to eat. Let us take control over what items are served to our children in public schools. We have to be the change. The heck with what these people are telling us to do.
Yeah.
Look at this. Even the comments they're receiving was 80% of the total comments, or 1,200 individuals, urged the USDA to consider the extensive scientific literature on low carb. So people are frustrated, but yet they're still not bringing this to the light. And they're still, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was gonna jump in before when you first started talking about this. The fact that they're not even going to bring it up in 2025. The reason, it's obvious. The reason they're not going to bring it up is because there's so much evidence against it, or I mean, for the low carb diet. So much research proving that it's better, that they figure if they don't even mention it, then nobody can bring up these things to fight what they're going for, which is a crap diet.
Yeah.
Healthy. Yeah.
Now,
healthy,
here we are.
Healthy for their bank account.
Yes. So it swells your bank account and your waistline and your heart disease and everything else. But in 2015, we're 7 years past this. Congress actually brought this up in a rare hearing on the guidelines, and a few congressmen expressed concern that the guidelines were too high in carbohydrates for many people. So, kudos to this congressman from Michigan, who's also a physician, who says 52% of Americans are pre-diabetic or diabetic, and yet the dietary recommendations that, as I understand it, are not really appropriate for that. These people have a carbohydrate intolerance, and there are more carbohydrates in the diet that you are recommending than is really appropriate for that. And this guy's a physician. And again, this is in 2015. Again, another person, Vicky Hartzler from Missouri, said, I have heard concerns that the USDA has ignored a large, credible, and growing body of peer-reviewed science on low-carb diets, as it contradicts the evidence from previous guidelines. But yet, here we are, and you're seeing it, that they're saying we're just going to ignore low-carbohydrate diets altogether 3 years from now. We're just not even going to include them.
That is,
we have to demand better. We have to boycott the stuff that they're peddling to our children, and we just don't buy into it. I mean, they're not force feeding us that stuff, but so we don't need to be taking it. We need to stop buying it. And as we said on last week's podcast, if you can find a local farmer's market or a local farm where you can go buy your own dairy, your own meats, your own eggs that are organically grown, that's what you should be doing, because what they're peddling now, and now you can't go anywhere without them peddling the pretend meats, the what's that
Beyond
word for? What are they
Burger.
called? Yeah, Beyond
Beyond.
Burgers, right? Plant-based protein, and we just, it's so sad to see. It was so awesome that we have different people texting us, Brian, that are beginning to see what really works. And like Billy Willis, for him to forego basically what the doctors were telling him to do and to go what he felt in his heart was the right way for him, and to see the results, to be able to see him lose the weight that he lost, to see his skin looking better than it's ever looked. It's just a shame. And we each have the ability to do that ourselves. I mean, nobody says you have to go to a doctor. No one says you have to buy into the nutritional charts that they're promoting, or the American Standard Diet. So this will fall by the wayside like everything else has that is a lie. It'll eventually crumble and go wayside. And that it is changing, or else you wouldn't see so much food, Leslie, especially when you go to Costco. They have so many different things marketed: keto crackers, keto chocolate snacks, keto this, keto that. And again, it doesn't matter what they are telling you. You have to be the one that looks on the back of and looks at that label and look at what they're putting into it, because a lot of them are going to have seed oils and toxins. And
yeah, they're not keto. In other words, they're just processed food labeled keto.
Correct. And most of the time, what's going to be a huge clue is if you look on the carbohydrates on the label, it's going to be like 17 to, it's going to be way up there. You're going to go, whoa. And of course, they're going to do we put fiber in here and deduct that. So the net carbs are 4 or 5, and they'll get you to believe that 4 or 5 net carbs, it's okay for you to have this food. So they're still fighting, but they're fighting with your terms that you're saying that you want to, the lifestyle that you want to fuel your body with. So they're going to give you those terms. They're going to give you those keto approved sanctions, just like they did with Heart Healthy stamp of approval, like they did for oatmeal and Cheerios. But
yeah, that's what, that it's like they're targeting the people that are uneducated in that area, and they just, the people that, like most people, they just take the word for it, like heart healthy. They just see that and they just take the word for from the food manufacturer that it is heart healthy. So they buy it. So that's, exactly the same thing with the keto or any kind of marketing scheme.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is, if you don't think that these people, these 18 members of the USDA systematic review team, plus all 20 members of the 2020 DGAC, could not have found a single acceptable study on low carbohydrate diets.
Yeah. Now, how many of those people are employed by food companies? Or,
or on their board.
Yeah.
But then at least 100 systematic reviews on low carb could be found on PubMed.gov, according to an advocacy group, which was also formally submitted a list of 52 relevant clinical trials to the DGAC for consideration. The American Diabetes Association in 2018 had adopted a very low carbohydrate diet as a standard of care for managing type 2 diabetes. To be unaware of any of these publications imply that all the experts involved in the 2020 guidelines involved process were either afraid to speak up or completely out of touch with their peer review literature in the field of apparent expertise.
Yeah. Like they have they shouldn't be on there, but they are. I mean, they don't qualify,
It's like they're still going, their transportation is a Fred Flintstone vehicle, or they're having to use their feet with a round stone getting around, because you would have to live in a cave to believe that the low carb lifestyle does not work for the majority of people who make that their lifestyle. So there's an old saying. Oh, here we go. Look at this amount of money.
Sorry,
this guy found that low carb diet to be superior on one low in fat for weight loss, appetite control, and cardiovascular. However, USDA excluded even Bozano's publication from his 2020 review on obesity and cardiovascular disease. Bozano said nothing about this publicity and coincidentally received $7,102,897 in grants from the NIH, part of the HHS co-issuer of the guidelines, in her 2 years while serving on the DGAC, including 2 supplemental funding grants totaling $679,525 in 2020.
Yeah,
so
just follow the money.
That's all it is.
And that's the other thing too. I was going to say earlier when you were talking about that, the published reports and all that junk. You always see this stuff online, the headlines about diets and this and that, and all the ones that are pushing that whole agenda of plant-based and all that. If you actually dig into it and see who's behind putting that out, it always goes back to big food or big pharma. That's who's paying for that to come out. It's not like this unbiased article. It's just marketing. It's just right. It's an advertisement for food companies.
Well, wow, we've been on our soapbox for a good while now.
This is an endless subject, though. I know it's crazy, and it's frustrating for one thing, because it's so broken that there's no quick fix. Definitely. So it's that's the thing. We can only be responsible for ourselves and start it at that level, and it's going to take a long time for it to finally filter up, to where it needs to be.
Well, the quick fix is for us to not buy in to the garbage that they're peddling. So that is the quick fix.
Yeah,
and so, right. So we can't go out there and change the world in which we have to live in, but we can change the world, and we can change our world. And if more of us change our world, like Brian's changed his world, I've changed my world, Billy Willis is changing his world, Linda Rose, Sue Anderson, a bunch of other people who are changing their world, Roseanne, a bunch of people who are changing their world are not only changing their world, but they're impacting the world around them. So their friends and family and children, and coworkers are coming to them going, I know I saw last week we had someone, I forget who it was. I want to say it was Roe who said that she helped somebody go keto, and how successful they were doing on that. It's
like,
what we have to do.
Yeah, lead by example, because people will say, hey, like, what are you doing? You know, and it works. I mean, that's really the only way you can sort of spread this thing. You know, you can't force it on people. So you got to wait till they come to you and you know, they're curious, and then that's when you present it to them. But yeah, you were talking, you mentioned a few things while you were reading that article, you know, the Beyond Burger and all that junk, and how, you know, in the way that they're gonna not mention the low carb thing in 2025, there's all these little things that are happening, sort of, that are trying to push it that other direction. And you know, it all comes back down to the movie Soylent Green. I mean, that's what they're headed for. And you know, with Bill Gates buying up all the farmland so they can plant more monocrops, so they can make more Beyond Burgers. It's they want to just take it down to these huge like a few huge corporations that control everything and make all the money and feed the people, you know, and really that is the best thing that we can do, is to go to our local farms and support them, because the local farms, the regenerative farms, that's what's going to save the planet. These big corporations are going to kill the planet, and it's so backwards. And a lot of I mean, not that there's anything wrong with a vegetarian diet, because you know, it works for some people, but a lot of those people that are they're tricked into believing that that's better for the planet, that whole, you know, the plant-based food, you know, the Beyond Burgers and all that junk, and actually it is going to kill the planet in the long run. And these regenerative farms are what is going to bring it back. You know, it's going to replenish the soil, you know, all that stuff, you know. So it does start with us, and we have to support those local farms.
Absolutely. I posted on my I think I posted it in the Keto Rocks page last night, a short video. It wasn't very long, maybe 20 minutes, from Jay Campbell. For those who are not aware of who Jay Campbell is, just go to our page on Facebook and take a look at that video I posted. But you know, he says there are certain, for the most part, if you're gonna say that you're a vegan or live out a vegetarian lifestyle, you better know what you're doing, because you're not going to get the nutrients that you really need in order to remain healthy for living that lifestyle long term. Now, there's some people who do supplement and do eat the right foods that are just, you know, look great. They're bodybuilders. They're built up, and they claim to be vegetarians, and I'm sure they are. But those are very few. My point being is, they're going to the same entity that is ignoring the science behind the low carb lifestyle. They don't care where their clientele come from, whether they come from people who eat meat or low fat or vegetarian. They don't care, as long as they come through their doors to get that insulin or to see that medical professional to be able to buy that statin drug. They don't care. So even for our vegan friends out there, or our vegetarian friends that are out there, be very careful. Do your own research as well. Just don't buy into what these entities are telling you should be eating as a vegetarian guidelines. Go out there and follow those people who truly have done it for long term, and can help you along the way of what you want to eat what supplements you may want to incorporate into that type of lifestyle. So we're not telling you to not go vegetarian. You have to make your choices for yourself. All we're telling you is do your own research, regardless of what lifestyle you're going to want to live, and listen to people who are doing it, not to a bunch of paid government nutritionists and big pharma and big food, because they don't have your best interests at heart. And so you think Bill Gates has bought 40% of the farmlands because he cares about you? Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, with any lifestyle or diet or whatever you want to call it, there's going to be big food is going to jump on it and market it towards you. And so even in a vegan diet, they put out vegan foods, and you can't just take it at surface value and assume it's healthy vegan food. So
right.
Even in that situation, you have to look at what you're eating and be careful. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah. And Brian, I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I know you and I had discussed that we had wanted to try to pull off a Keto Rocks summer retreat like we had last year, and we thoroughly enjoyed gathering together, and we were going to try to fit it in on your schedule in early August, and we put it up on the page. A lot of feedback that you guys already had plans. It was short notice, and I don't disagree with you. It was short notice, and I can understand why you have plans, so we are probably, well, not probably, nothing. We are not going to hold the keto retreat that weekend, but we are discussing, and we'll put it up. Just want to make you aware to doing something in October. So let us know in the comments section of this podcast what you would want to do. We're thinking about, we discussed today about doing a gathering in Richmond, Virginia for a whitewater rafting, and going to a Brazilian steakhouse together. So it'd be basically 2 days, 1 night at a hotel. There is an international airport right there in Richmond. We could do, like, whitewater rafting be a pretty cool group activity. We do it in October. Hopefully the leaves, what the weather is, would be changed down the James River. So it'd be really, really cool. And you guys could do if you are to experience whitewater rafter, we can put you on the class 3-4 rapids. As a matter of fact, it's the only city that has both on the same river. Then we got the ones that are just mellow, just, hey, let's just chill out and enjoy the scenery. That's the one I'm going to be on, just so everybody knows. So we can do that. And then we're talking about maybe doing something else. If we don't do that one, we're thinking about doing something in conjunction with Rick Parks, his Maryland Music Institute chili cook-off, and we could somehow find a way to be able to combine our event with his event, not to overtake it or anything like that, but to be able to maybe participate with a keto chili division.
Yeah, and he has entertainment. He has bands play, and yeah, I've never been to one, but I've seen photos of them. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I plan on being there this year, so it'd be kind of cool for us to maybe meet up on Saturday. I guess the closest, Brian can answer this question, the best airport to fly in for Hagerstown would be probably BWI, or
yeah, probably that or Dulles, depending on what airline you're on. And like for me, it's BWI because I can get a direct flight from here. But
so those are the two options we're trying to work through at the moment. So in the comments section, if you guys can just let us know what you would prefer. We definitely just want to be able to hang out and with you guys and hear your stories, let you share your stories and what's working, what's not working, because it was so awesome to hear your testimonials last year, and for us just to be able to gather up and break some bread and enjoy some music and some good food. And it's our way of also just being able to hang out with you personally and cook for you as a way of just saying thanks for what you guys mean to us. So just let us know in the comment section or send us an email at ketorocks22@gmail.com. But, as we discussed all these studies and how the USDA ignores the science of low carb diets, I'm going to ask Brian for some advice that he has not ignored, and he's not afraid to share it with you. So what bit of advice would you give people watching this podcast tonight that would benefit them as much as it's benefited you, Brian?
I would say eat your meat.
And you don't have to wait to 2025 or whatever. You can start doing it tonight or tomorrow. So eat your meat. We appreciate you joining with us. We'll see you next Friday, same time, same place. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and stay out of that hospital. We'll see you, everybody.
See ya.